everyone. Thank you for joining us here at Rocket Lab Weekly number 106. I'm guessing you guys know the drill by now. We've been doing this for quite a while. 106 weeks now, unbroken. Pretty cool. Good to see you guys. I feel like it's been a few weeks since I was on the last one. I've been pretty busy. So what's up with you guys?
Yeah, good to see you, man. You have been busy. I noticed Scott's been preoccupied with the baby. I have no friends, and this is the only thing that I do on Saturday. So if I don't show up, it's only because I'm too lazy. But yeah, always good to see you guys, and always excited to chat for an hour about rockets and how the stock's doing and what's upcoming.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely a good week to meet up. It's been very announcement ridden the past couple weeks for sure. So looking forward to talking to you guys.
Been fun, and the stock obviously has had a pretty good week too, despite I guess the end of the day on Friday had a bit of a crash there. Okay, well I guess I'll just pop into the content then. Let me see if I can figure out this. I'll just do share screen.
You got people from New Zealand. That's awesome. A lot of people from New Zealand.
Okay, here we go. Top story of the day. A bee sting seems to be turning Vince's bullish into I don't know what. Yeah, hope he's feeling better. Interesting hobby he's got there. Okay, so with that silliness out of the way, I just wanted to start with the stock because it was such a wild week. Do you guys have any thoughts on what was driving this? Macro, Rocket Lab specific, or both? Any thoughts there? I think you're muted,
Scott.
I think it was a bit of everything. And I think macro in particular. Also, I have to, I don't know, dunk on myself again, I guess, because I mentioned I closed out the BlackSky position. I think in like 1 week, it went up 50%. So I'm like, okay, cool. So
yeah.
Can't time perfectly on it, whatever. I'm still content with the trade. But like, it seemed like all space stocks were kind of ripping. And like AST, you could argue there was, that was warranted. And then others were just kind of taking off without kind of any news backing it. And it leads me to believe there's either hype for the Golden Dome because people are privy, like, everything's about to be given out. But when the government opens up again, or if you want to put on a tinfoil hat, maybe somebody knows something that others don't. When you kind of look at Planet Labs, BlackSky, and Rocket Lab, it's like they're kind of rallying. I don't want to say on no news because like obviously there is some news, but like when you kind of consider Rocket Lab, if you want to be kind of glass half empty, it's like, yeah, sure, 15 launches is great, but that's not a lot compared to their market cap and especially the increase to that market cap. So yeah, it leads me to believe that people are either just getting ahead of the upcoming excitement or if maybe somebody knows something behind the scenes. What do you guys' take?
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit about the validity of space. Like you're seeing a lot of companies actually start to be EBITDA positive at this point. But also at the same time, I think you're starting to see a lot of euphoria in a lot of different other sectors like quantum computing and others. And like you stated, I think it's a prudent time to like look at what companies are actually delivering. And this isn't just space. This is just in general. What companies are actually delivering during this time, because you never know. There could be a retracement. Like we saw a pretty severe retracement going from like the $72, $73 during pre-market to now $64 at close. For Rocket Lab specifically, it's a large swing intraday. And it's like, well, who's to say Rocket Lab's actually delivering, right? I mean, maybe it's not warranted to be up here at $60 or $70 a share for what they have delivered yet, but the potential is, X and the runway is X. Other companies don't necessarily have that sort of runway, and they're still getting valued at massive multiples beyond where I believe they should. And that's just not for space. That's for a lot of different areas. So I think now, I don't blame anybody for trying to shore up some cash and understand like what part of your portfolio is in kind of the euphoria and doesn't warrant it, and what places are, okay, maybe it's a couple years ahead of itself, but I could take that and maybe use that capital to purchase things or steady the portfolio or even deepen in certain positions that I think are going to be better. But overall, exciting news. I think there's a lot of underlying things going ahead for Rocket Lab, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize the full potential.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of attention for sure. It was a weird week though. So many of these stocks having massive runs. So not just Rocket Lab alone. I'm gonna do something a little bit unorthodox on Rocket Lab Weekly here before we get into some of the regular news. Hope you guys don't mind. And I'm going to ask your advice. So I don't know if you saw my previous video, but I did open up some short-term call options with the hopes that Rocket Lab would land the SDA Trench 3 tracking layer constellation around October 15th. 18th or maybe. Yeah, I have been having mic problems, Joshua. I'm sorry about that. It seems to come and go. So I'll do the best I can to fix it for next time. Anyway, so the stocks run up more than I thought it would without the news dropping. And there has been some good news, but not the news I was thinking of playing. So do you think I should take my gains here? Should I wait longer? Is it like a buy the rumor, sell the news type thing? Yeah, and the shutdown, of course, is the other wrench, and we don't know when that will end, so that could play a factor.
Well, first and foremost, congrats. A lot of these are 2x, 3x. So
yeah,
that's
the
awesome.
bottom one I already sold to capture some gains, and the top ones are still in play. Although they did drop a lot at the close after that one tweet or whatever it was.
It's an interesting conversation, and I appreciate it because, I mean, I've held some January 27 leaps that I've had from like some are $5, some are $7, some are 10. And I think it's like 8 contracts in total. So those are up, very, very well as well. So I'm interested on the conversation. I guess it really all depends. Like, do you think that this is going to be a short-term top for all the market, not just Rocket Lab, but all the market? And if that's the case, then if you were to take this capital, do you have an idea as to where you would double down or deepen, or even diversify out to, like a different position you would diversify out to if you were to use the capital, or use it for your properties? I know you have 2 places.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm thinking that, it's still a ways out, but I know I'll have a decent sized tax bill next time tax season comes along. And usually when that happens, I have to scramble to find something to sell. So if nothing else, it would be for that, or just having the cash available if an opportunity comes around.
And also, I know you got other things to worry about here in the near term future. So maybe a little fund, could be in order as well.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think, Scott? Is it time to cash out of these, or should I wait?
I don't know. I'm often poked as being the kind of more bearish type, but I think that I'll put it this way, and it's something that I've mentioned in the past, and I've been wrong on, and it's one of those things. Like, I sold BlackSky, like I mentioned, and it continued to rally. I don't feel bad. Like, it's
you made
like
money. You were right? Like
exactly. And it's like, if I would have known what happened, sure, I would have held 1 extra week. But like, I'm not going to cry at how well I did, right? So I'm not going to try to say try to convince you into some short-term move based on like a 1 week time frame, right? But I do think that the number of account or portfolio or even just individual stock screenshots that I'm seeing on X lately, and granted, it could be I'm in Rocket Lab, I'm in EOS, they happen to be doing really well, BlackSky too, right? It's like the number of screenshots that I'm seeing generally tracks the tops of markets. And I don't know. I thought that Rocket Lab would be topping in like the 40s or 50s, and here we are, like flirting with the 70s. So I don't know, but I do think, or I'll say from my perspective, I've been trimming more than I've been buying just to kind of keep the cash in the range that I feel comfortable. So take that
Fair
as you
enough.
will.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that would kill me is if I sold these and then they do land that big contract, which was like the whole purpose of buying them. So,
But
great
I do
position to be in,
wonder,
though.
yeah, and
Great.
I do wonder. I think Matt said it, like the buy the rumor, sell the news type deal, where it is like, is the reason that it went from 50 to 70 in such a short period, is that because everybody's expecting all these contracts to land? Like, and what happens if they don't? Like, what happens if we wake up and it's like, oh, it's all gone to Lockheed or whoever, like, or even to Rocket Lab, and then everybody doesn't see that initial spike, and then it's kind of like last man out kind of mentality. Could get ugly, especially with like this sudden bearishness. And granted, it was just one day, but if Trump is going to start tweeting crazy stuff again, like who knows what could happen?
Yeah. Oh man,
Always,
it's crazy
always
how
does, man.
how something like that can affect you. Like I remember I checked these right before that, and this was up at like the top one was up at like 20 something, 22, 23. And then it's like I blink and I'm like, what the hell?
I mean, the delta on that's probably like what, 85 to 95. So every dollar movement is going to be like almost 1 for 1. So yeah. I mean, another thought is you could sell half or 2/3 of them, or a third of it. Take your initial investment off the table. Looks like a lot of them are 2 to 3 times the amount, and you could let some of them fly, so maybe you find a good middle ground where you say, take the ones that maybe, I don't know which ones would be, but maybe the shorter term ones, because they're only in November. You could say, hey, I won, right? Who knows what's going to happen between now and the next almost month from now, right? I mean, we're approaching that November 21st. It's literally within 40 days here. That November 7th one, that's literally within 30 days. You're like, you know what? I won on those contracts. Who knows what's going to happen between now and November 7th, but you could give yourself time more on maybe the April 17th one for 2026, or maybe even the December one. It really all just depends. And another piece as well, and I'm not sure if you have level 3 options, but on calls like this, you could also write covered calls as well and take some of your money off the table. So that's another avenue that I've done personally. So like I have my leaps, $5, $7, $10 leaps, and I probably have some other leaps in there as well that just I don't recall. But I use those and I look and I'm like, okay, well, how many contracts of those do I have? And I generally separate that from my share count. And I'll generally sometimes be more aggressive on those because I'm okay with my leaps getting called away. I'm not okay with my shares getting called away. So I almost look at them as almost separate entities. So if I ever have to hit the oh shit button and like I do get my covered call breached, I'll be like, no, execute on the leaps. Don't execute on the shares, because I would much rather hold the shares long term than leaps. So there's just a bunch of different avenues that you could take. But yeah, you could sell a third, half, all of it, 2/3. It's a really nice position to be in. You're coming from a position of strength and not a weakness, which is a good thing.
Sorry, I'm just seeing in a comment that there's no sound and your channel stopped working. I'm gonna keep going though, because I guess you guys can hear me. So some people commenting seem to be able to hear at least. So let's continue on. But it was an interesting discussion, and yeah, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, I just looked. Mine seems to be working fine.
Okay. I guess it was maybe just an issue for one person.
Yeah, hit refresh.
So we have seen now that Rocket Lab has completed payload integration and encapsulation for their next introspective launch, aka their 73rd launch. And the mission window opens on October 14th. Seems pretty straightforward, but do you guys have any comments on this one? You're muted again, Scott. Tired, maybe.
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, I think this is the 14th launch of the year. I mean, it's cool to see. This is what, number 7 with Synspective, and this will actually be the first of that first bulk contract. So the first of 11, or Rocket Lab's calling this first of 21. So it's pretty cool to see, and it's going to be a very, very busy schedule going forward with Synspective. So yeah.
By the way, I saw Curtis still rocking his shirt out there. Thank you once again. Pretty cool. Okay, so 14th on the year.
15th.
Hard to correct. It would be the 15th on the year. Yeah, sorry.
Right. So yeah. Okay.
And if we knock it out, I'm trying to think. Let me see. It's supposed to be when? The 15th?
14th is when it
14th?
opens.
14, 2025. Let's see if we get to 20 cadence or not. Give me a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we knock it out on the 14th, we will hit a trailing 12-month cadence of 20.
Nice.
That's interesting. That's not a stat I track enough, but
yeah,
that's good to hear.
Yeah. I'll in the back continue on the next one. I'll find out what date we need to hit to make sure it's a trailing 12-month of 20.
Yeah. Next up, Rocket Lab secured a launch contract with JAXA, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, for 2 launches. The first launch is actually supposed to be this year, I believe, or scheduled from December 2025. The second launch would be for 2026. And I guess this is kind of the mystery sovereign customer they were talking about previously. So a pretty cool contract as well.
Mm-hmm.
Always good to see a new person sign on.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially, we can only expect this is going to be a much bigger deal. I think it's kind of like ESA, which is cool because ESA is also launching December as well. So it's cool to have those back to back, both heading out of New Zealand. And interestingly, the second launch, the one in 2026, it seems like it's kind of like actually, no, it is. It mentions it explicitly. It's a ride share of 8 separate spacecraft. So that's pretty cool because Rocket Lab haven't done a ride share since April of 2024. They've kind of just been dedicated launches ever since. So it's interesting to have that back on the table again.
Yeah. I do kind of wonder, like, I have to assume JAXA would rather fly a Japanese rocket. Mm-hmm. So, like, what's the longevity of this? Like, do you think we can continue seeing contracts from JAXA and Europe and others?
It's a good question. I mean, you assume so. I think it was more an issue getting your foot through the door, because they have had issues with their Japanese-based launchers. And then, when you have IQPS and Synspective under your belt as well, and now they're like, oh, we can launch for you, and we can get your stuff to orbit without any issues. Not saying that they'll continue to have issues, but if you look at all the other launch companies, it's hard to get back on track, it seems, across the small launch industry. So yeah, I think it's just a good first step to get their foot in the door. And maybe if this is all it is, like, even that still, it's like they're launching for NASA, they're launching for ESA, they're launching for JAXA. Now it's like it's kind of like indisputable at this point, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think satellites are going to be what end up paying the bills, right? So while launch is great, I think that they're almost disparate in that extent. So I think you can still advance your satellite piece, and you can use another provider for the launch, and that is almost an enabler, as Sir Peter Beck always says, to be able to get your constellations and everything into space. And so it's almost like they're 2 different technologies, they're 2 different avenues, and so like you stated, I don't think that by utilizing Electron, it means that they're will eventually be coming back around. But I think at the same time, you can't hold your entire constellation set back because you're waiting for it. And I understand there's the national piece. Like you want pride in your organizations, you want pride in your country, and utilize their launchers. But at the same time, there's this piece where you're almost holding your country back by not, or your company back as well, by not utilizing these people that are already launching at a great cadence and have great reliability. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah, like the Cinespectives and IQPS, I totally understand a company just going for the best option, cheapest option for them. But when it's like a JAXA or something like that, I do wonder. Anyway, yeah, great contract, great news for Rocket Lab. Speaking of IQPS, they did secure a multi-launch contract for 3 more Electron missions from IQPS. This is going to be from New Zealand, launching no earlier than 2026. They already have 4 dedicated missions booked by IQPS, and these 3 additional brings the total to 7. Yeah, as we talked about previously, the Japanese country or companies and country, I guess, loving Electron. So another nice contract there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these ones, they also use Rocket Lab separation systems similar to the last, I think, 2 orders. The 2 last orders were bulk orders of 4 each. So this is we saw the 5th IQPS launch in August, and that was the 4th of 4 for that first contract, the one that was signed in Q3 of 2024. And then we still have 4 more to launch that were signed in Q1 of 2025, and now another 3. So that brings us into like 2026, 2027. And I think 12 launches total between Rocket Lab and IQPS. So it's no Synspective at like 27 total, but it's still like, that's like, to think even like a few years ago, to think of even one customer being at 12 launches, like that's just impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, it reminds me of the narrative that, okay, you're a new company, you want to try something out, maybe you send a prototype on a dedicated Electron, and then after that you'll go ride share. And like clearly not the case with some of these. I know, like, say Planet loves their ride shares, but yeah, a lot of these are big constellation builders.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And you can only assume that's going to translate. Like I keep mentioning Synspective, like they're just planning to bring more and more satellites to the market. And it's like, if they are going to go on a larger rocket, that is like, they already have that relationship established with Rocket Lab. So bodes well.
That's a good point too. Was just going to touch on the Cinespective stuff. I know we probably did talk about it last Rocket Lab Weekly. We talked about this mission already, but they did. I lost my tab. Just the big deal they made with Cinespective that we talked about last week for 10 additional launches, I think it was. Scott, do you have an idea, like, how much has the backlog for Electron moved in the past?
Oh, like quite a bit. Actually, I was just looking at this the other day. So we don't have any updated figures for backlog after the Geost acquisition, or for, I mean, Q3 as a whole, really. 1 second, just gotta find the right spot.
Good point.
But we like, okay, so the way that, actually, do you mind if I share the screen here? I'll just bring one thing over.
Go for it.
And make sure I get the right one. Oh, hold on. Oh, the window should be this one. Yeah, sorry, guys. That should be. So it should, yeah, perfect. So you guys can see this, right? Oh. Sorry, you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so here's kind of what I've put together. I'll bring it in a little closer. Oh, not that close though. Actually, not even that close. Okay, so basically the way that I'm looking at this is our these are the bookings. You can kind of see on the left side, bookings for launch services, bookings for space systems, and then we have the backlog for launch services and the backlog for space systems here. So essentially these two values equal the backlog total at the bottom. And this is just what's added within the quarter. So if we're kind of extrapolating forward to Q3, it's like, honestly, it's like more or less of an educated guess. What we're doing is we're using the average of the past several quarters up to, but not including the quarter that we had the $500 million addition of the SDA satellites. So all this to say is I'm basically assuming about $45 to $50 million in space systems bookings for Q3. And then the launch services, this is going to be synspective. We had that bulk order of 10. I'm assuming $8.5 million per launch for that. And then actually, that's all we really need to cover. Yeah, I guess the big black box here is the GEOS acquisition. I'm not sure how much was added there. So you can assume that the backlog for space systems is going to be higher than what we see here. But this is kind of what we're currently landing at for Q3 and backlog. Again, just an assumption. But
Do you know?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
Do you know how many electrons were in the backlog prior to these big deals?
Like which big deals do you mean?
Introspective, IQPS, like.
Oh, yeah. Do I have that here actually? Yeah. Is that updated? Yes, I'll actually add one right now. It's 43 after that. So yeah, this line here, this is the number of electrons in backlog. And here we also have the neutrons in backlog. So Q3 end is expected to be 43, give or take. Like there could be one or two extra that have snuck in that haven't been announced, but that's kind of what we're assuming. And then if we look kind of down, or if we look down as far back as we can go, you'll see that like at one point space systems backlog was like, we'll call it 80%. And as of the past few quarters, that's pretty much evened out to like, we'll call it a 50-50 split. So
wow,
launch is definitely catching up. And especially like I mentioned it before, like it's funny because I think there's a lot of talk about Electron being retired once Neutron comes to light, but it's like, no.
No, I've never.
We've got a fair bit to go.
I've never bought into that.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe assigned space systems has been a little bit sluggish in terms of the contract backlog growth.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it should tick up here in the next, like over the quarter, but we'll see. And I mean, Rocket Lab, they keep talking about the MTO like they have it. So I mean, that's going to be a serious uptick when that happens, if it does.
I mean, I wouldn't put that in the bank. There's you got Lockheed, you got Blue Origin, all these people tweeting about it. Like,
yeah.
But I'd love for it to happen.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, am I okay to go back to our news items, or do you have anything else you wanted to share here?
I mean, while I'm sharing already, did you guys want to go over the rest of 2025 for the launches?
Sure.
Okay.
You think? What do you think? We're hitting 20 plus still?
I mean, we have to be. There's no way we're not.
I mean, that'd be a record quarter, though.
So before I let you go off on that, Scott. So the last launch that would kind of end a close to the trailing 12-month would be the 11th of November. So basically, we just need to get this current launch off before the 5th of November. And so that's what would get us the trailing 12-month of 20. So just so everyone's kind of aware, as long as we get this off before the 4th, we should be good.
Okay.
Perfect. Good. I think we'll do it. Feeling good about it. So this is at the start. This is 2025 so far. I mean, we've had up to 15 launches up to this point. This should just be a haste symbol. I'm not sure if that actually was Leidos. That's an assumption, but that's there. I guess looking forward, right? We have this synspective launch on the 14th. We'll probably I hope we have another launch before earnings. You have Escapade. Matt and I were talking before, and Matt mentioned that he saw November 9th. So I'm not sure if that's like a locked in date, but I know that Blue Origin was talking about late October, early November, so it does track. So this one might be like early November. Synspective, that's, I mean, still expected December. This upcoming one on the 14th, that was supposed to be September, so maybe they got both pushed back, but it does sound like they're both supposed to be going off this year still. So we're going to assume that. Like we mentioned earlier, we have the European Space Agency and JAXA both heading out of New Zealand, both on December. We still have that missing Jake launch from.
Has that never launched?
I don't know. Like, so the way that I'm assuming is that I'm tracking the transmitters between the launches, assuming that the like, long story short, if you like look at all the data side by side, certain FCC documents have kind of been reiterated and they have the similar transmitters. So I'm assuming that's the same launch, because it was like August, or no, not August. Or was it June? I can't remember. It's all a blur. But it was like supposed to happen. Then it got kicked back. Because remember, it was like going up and down and up and down. And we were like, what's happening? And there was some documents that were filed alongside that had the same transmitters that kind of aligned with the assumption that the rocket was going to go off. So I think last I saw this is November. I should actually take another look at that. But we just assume that's a Q4 item. We have the first batch of MDA satellites going up on a Falcon 9. Knock on wood, we also have the inaugural Neutron launch. These BlackSky launches, I don't know what happened to these. Like the last update that we had, BlackSky mentioned that it was a few weeks away from being shipped, this third Gen 3, but they've been just kind of dark ever since. To make it even stranger, they're supposed to have six in orbit by the end of the year. And if you were to like close out all three of these launches, that only brings us to 5. And they, to my knowledge, well, to anybody's knowledge, haven't signed a launch provider for like beyond this. So I don't understand how they're hitting that target of 6 in the year, and they don't even have a launch provider for that 6th launch. So I don't know if anything's been pushed back there, but it's just seems a little bit odd on BlackSky's part. But all this to say, I assume that at least a couple of these will go off in the quarter. Hawkeye has been MIA for quite a while, but maybe that's still a 2025 thing. That was supposed to go off in like 2024, I think. So unclear about that. And we should see 2 more IQPS, and then Capella is a little bit unusual as well, similar to Hawkeye, where it's like, is it still happening? Where is it? I don't know. But yeah, a very busy end to the year. And I think that if you were to like really chisel it down, I think these ones that we have months for are a lock. The BlackSkys we'll assume 1 for sure. Hawkeye and Capella are maybes, and IQPS is a most likely. So it's like,
why? Sorry, where did you get the March number for LockSat, or the March date?
I can share 2 links with you after the show, but I have 2. The most recent information, it also mentioned launch as well, so it's reiterated.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like as of like 2 weeks ago, I think that that last reference came out, so it seems to be locked in for March. Yeah.
So no haste the remainder of the year.
There's that
Jake.
one, Jake. Yeah. Jake, and then maybe one more. I'm unclear about another one. It was just listed as U.S. government customer, and it's like those guys were saying at Wallops. Like, it's going to get even more convoluted to try to track these, and I think it's because the greater Rocket Lab community just is like, hey, you guys had to launch this date. That's the confidential customer, and I'm safe to say that the DoD probably doesn't love that. So yeah, they're more tight-lipped about it. But
so
yeah.
if you have to break it down to a guess, like it for a range, like what number of launches could we see in Q4?
Okay, so
5 to 7, or
yeah. Okay, so let's go with like for sure's. Synspective, yes. This second one, that's too much of a maybe. This one will be a yes. So it's 2, 3. 1 more haste this year. 4. Let's assume 1 BlackSky for sure. We're at 5 already. At least 1. I want to say 2, but let's be conservative. We're getting 6 launches in the quarter. At least.
which would be a record, I believe, and would
Yes.
push us
Great.
to 20. So that's great.
Yeah. So I think, conservative, we're getting 20
Yeah,
launches
20.
this year.
Yeah.
Start of the year, I was thinking more like 22, but they guided for 20. So
Yeah, I was thinking, I want to say around the same, 22-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I think 20. Whenever I would think people were thinking they would get to 24, I was like, that's a lot. That's a big step jump from 16.
Yeah, not impossible though. It could happen.
there's definitely a lot of potential there in that manifest, Scott, or list shot, Scott. Thank you for that. Where were we? Okay, so quick survey here. There's always a little bit of a friendly rivalry between Rocket Lab and AST investors. In fact, a lot of us do own both. There was a poll from Payload asking readers which investment is the better play, and we had 85% Rocket Lab, 15 AST. I thought this was very surprising. I thought it was going to be closer to 50-50. Space Mob seems to be very vocal out there, but maybe it's a smaller group of very vocal people. I just thought that was interesting. Any thoughts on that one, you guys?
I mean, I'm biased, but I'm going Rocket Lab.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. I think it's difficult to say. I mean, as much as I would want to be long and strong Rocket Lab, it's hard to think long term about the constellation piece because we have yet to truly understand and get confirmation. But knowing how much you can or have been able to trust in Sir Peter Beck and Adam Spice and their ability to execute and be able to figure it out. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic that whatever they do decide for whatever they're working on for the constellation and Flatellite, it's going to be a massive revenue generator and eventually hit the bottom line in a very strong manner. So very confident that Rocket Lab will continue to do extremely well.
There's one thing you have to give AST is they're chasing a massive TAM right now.
Exactly.
With Rocket Lab, like I guess it's unknown where they go with their constellation and how big the TAM is.
That's the difficult part. Yep.
Okay. Next up, as we talked previously about LockSat, yes, they are shipping their satellite to Rocket Lab. I had been thinking maybe there's a chance that it's still 2025 because the website says 2025, but Scott's telling us March. So that is what we're getting for LockSat. Very cool mission, though. Helping to build and launch a fuel depot in orbit. Yeah, so I was just going off this website that said in 2025, but sounds like that may be unlikely to happen this year.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I'm just double checking my reference now, and it's I don't know, from September 30th.
Okay.
I'm happy to be wrong though. I want LockSat to go off. It's such a cool mission.
That is a cool mission. It's interesting. I would have expected the top of that satellite to be kind of larger. You saw it in that clip that you just showed, and I don't know. Interesting. Curious to see how big it actually ends up being and how much fuel it could actually hold. If it's just
I'm sure this webpage.
I don't know.
I was just going to say, I'm sure this webpage is quite old though, so it could very well have been pushed to next year. Okay. This was, not much, but we did have someone going on CNBC talking about Rocket Lab on their final trade. So I'm just going to play this for you guys quickly.
You got to share audio.
Oh, you guys don't hear that? Man. Amateur hour with Vince going over here.
Seems like everybody's expecting a market crash this upcoming week. It's interesting going through the
Yeah.
comments.
Okay, we're trying this one more time. Let me know if you guys do hear anything.
What do you got?
I'll give you Rocket Lab, Scott. It's one of the new purchases. We didn't get to it, but they're turning into a real space company. 30% year-over-year earnings growth, $1 billion backlog. If the Neutron rocket works, this company's going to be something.
What do you got?
I'll give you Rocket.
I just thought it was a little interesting. Some people's narrative out there seems to be like it's retail driving this up, and we have someone on CNBC posing it as a buy. So, were you guys able to hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
it sounded great. Loud and clear.
Any thoughts on that one or no?
Just cool to get some exposure on CNBC. Love to see it.
Yeah, definitely cool to see. And what I've noticed as well, and I think a lot of people have been public about this, I'm not sure if you have this queued up, is a lot of aftermarket buys that are very substantial in size. A lot of people are rumoring that it's me. It's not. I don't have that kind of capital as much as people would like to think.
Yet.
Yes. We have to wait until Rocket Lab hits $200,000 a share. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, I think that you are starting to see greater recognition, and it kind of goes back to what you both were saying earlier. Is it anticipation of, say, some of these Golden Dome or MTO or any of these other contracts, SDA contracts potentially coming to light, and maybe our Congress people over here in the United States somehow are able to magically find these things out, unbeknownst to who actually gets the contracts, right? Of course, it's completely kosher and uncorrupt. Maybe those are the people that are loading the boat in anticipation of great positive results for the company.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I think we already discussed this. So, JAXA was the mystery customer. So I guess they did have a Epsilon S rocket they wanted to use, but there's been some issues with that one. So they did move to Electron. This one I did think was quite interesting. Jared Isaacman is apparently back in the mix for NASA administrator. I didn't see that one coming, but then I didn't see him getting pulled coming either. So who knows? What do you think? Is it possible?
I mean, I guess so. And like, I don't know. It seems like I never know what to think with anything in this current administration. And that's not to like slander or even like defend, like I understand with the tariff stuff, like if you post something on Kijiji, you post it for $100, knowing the guy's going to counter you for 60, and then you guys are going to meet in the middle and get the $80 that you actually wanted. You know what I mean? So that makes sense with like negotiating, but like this one, I'm like, okay, what is going on at the White House? So like what's happening at NASA? Like, I just don't understand the whole situation. Like when I first heard about it, especially like the kind of the aura around it, where I'm like, there was that first rumor that Isaacman being pushed out was like some way to take a dig at Elon. And I'm like, no, like they're not a bunch of 12-year-olds there. And
I actually believe that, to be honest.
No, but from Isaacman's own mouth, I think it was on the All In podcast. I think the term he used was like someone had an axe to grind with Elon.
Exactly.
And I'm like, wait, what? Like, then, like, I just can't connect the two. It's like, yeah, sure. I don't know. I understand the relationship, but I'm also like, I don't think Elon was hurt that bad by it. You know what I mean? It's not like Isaacman was going to come in and be like, okay, everything to SpaceX. Like, didn't make a lot of sense, but I don't know.
Sometimes people are, emotional and not always.
Yeah, true. It's
they can still be in high places.
Maybe it was a play. Like you could be right. Maybe you're both right. Maybe it was like hey, not right now sort of thing. And maybe that Jared wasn't necessarily put. I don't know. This is speculation. So I like conspiracy theories, and I don't have my tinfoil hat over here. Otherwise, I'd put it on. But it could have been very well been like, hey, we have to distance ourselves from Elon at the moment. Speaking as the White House, we have to distance ourselves from Elon at the moment. that means Jared, can't be right now. But now that is sort of passed and it's several months on, Jared is the right guy for the job, in my opinion, comparatively to other people that are in the running. So, listening to that podcast with the All In, I think was very telling that he has a good vision for it. And I think he has the passion for it. And I think he's going to bring a new lens, not only from an idea that from an executioner's perspective, but somebody that's going to run it very efficiently and knows how to get shit done. So anyway, I think that maybe that time is now passed and that's kind of in the rearview mirror. It brings an opportunity to kind of resurface and actually get things going.
What I was wondering is, because Jared is on the record not being in favor of Mars sample return robotic mission. He wants to focus on just getting humans there fast. So would this actually be good for Rocket Lab or not then?
I mean, you need the telecommunications orbiters for sure. Like, so maybe the sample return doesn't make a lot of sense, but even that, it's just like, not saying that I wasn't expecting it to be awarded by now, but it does kind of seem like with everything that's happened over the past 6 months to 6 to 12 months, we'll call it, it's like we're a year closer to footprints on Mars. So I've said that in the past too. It's not the most bullish take as a Rocket Lab investor, but it's like, yeah, don't worry about this Mars sample return with all these robots. Like, if you're sending humans there, just send them within a little rover drive and then manually bring them back, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's bearish for Rocket Lab as a whole, though. Like, there have been many times, I don't remember the name of the other podcast that Isaacman was on, but he just couldn't stop saying Rocket Lab enough, like, in side by side with SpaceX and Blue Origin. So it's definitely like front of his mind in terms of like the industry leaders in space.
I personally think, like, I'd love to see humans on Mars. I guess we're a year closer than we were last year, but it still feels like it's not within the timeline Elon has been saying.
Yeah,
which would not be earth-shattering compared to Elon's track record.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting stuff. I just thought this one was kind of funny. Peter Beck reposting. I don't know how he comes across these random people with like 100 followers, but just saying how Kemp told us that Astra would put Electron out of commission. Yeah, it's good that he still has some fun with it. Okay. This tab here, I'd say fairly minor piece of news, but Rocket Lab did apparently make a major order with this company for their Lumina Plus to double their solar cell production capacity. So thought that one was interesting.
So is this, I'm completely unfamiliar. I hadn't seen this one. Is this, this is part of the Solero expansion, them just buying machinery?
Yeah, I think it's basically buying equipment for the expansion to manufacture more solar cells. A new tool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is from the company they're buying the equipment from, not from Rocket Lab themselves. So
right. Okay.
Don't have a ton of details. I haven't looked into this Lumina Plus much at all, but seems exciting.
Good to see
and
the
then
money from the CHIPS Act going somewhere. That's all I can say.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, just one little picture here. We had the Singapore Prime Minister and Defense Minister visiting Rocket Lab. What do you think's going on here?
I'm sure it's not bad news, that's for sure. Not sure in what capacity, but it's it seems like every time you get these group photos, it's like, you know, trace it forward 1 to 2 months, and Rocket Lab is a big announcement. So I guess we'll see what it encapsulates.
I can't imagine they just randomly go for a Rocket Lab tour for like no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to understand this as well. Like, I don't know if there's like a large Singaporean like rocket industry or ambition. It's a small city state or just a city state in general, and I don't know if they really have. But there is a lot of wealthy people there, so maybe there is some people that do have that sort of ambition, or was it just a hey, we want to continue to have great Singaporean New Zealand relationships, and Rocket Lab is a great industry that is in New Zealand, and so let's just take a show of one of our great buildings that we have, or one of our great great companies that we have. I don't know the answer, but like you said, regardless of whether it is not bad, but it is the defense minister, right? So that is something that I continue to kind of think about, right? We obviously now have the UK defense piece in our back pocket. We have the Australia and New Zealand, kind of alliance with that as well. And so, Japan is also interested potentially in that defense piece. So Singapore potentially adding on to that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're also looking potentially at haste for some sort of defense or who knows what else. So curious to see where this develops, but I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. So that's speculation, of course, with the defense piece. But why else would you show a defense minister a bunch of rockets?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not really directly Rocket Lab related, but it was interesting that there's an announcement, a new European satellite production facility coming online, producing 100 plus 300 kilogram class satellites, which I thought was interesting because those do fit on Electron. So I just figured out. But how likely Electron gets, these European contracts, I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts there?
I think a lot more likely than if you had asked me a year ago. Like, I think, I mean, it seems like Europe kind of as a whole is really, I mean, I just keep seeing announcement after announcement of like facilities being put up. I'm thinking like Planet Labs just announced like a 2x of their capacity, and that's going to be out of, I think, Germany in specific.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just seems like there's no shortage, and it's not necessarily launch. I mean, granted, there are, I mean, as with anywhere, there's launch vehicles being designed, but they don't seem to have had very good luck, as with most countries. But yeah, it bodes well for Rocket Lab for sure. And same with JAXA. Like, it's just their foot's already in the door. It's just a matter of like, hey, who can actually do this? And it's like, do you want to give everything to SpaceX? Do you want to gamble it on Blue Origin or Firefly or Relativity, or do you want to go with the other guys who are established that are Rocket Lab?
Speaking of Firefly, they did announce a major acquisition for about $855 million. So pretty big cash. Clearly the M&A is flowing. The capital is flowing right now. Did you guys see this deal?
I did. Yeah, it was kind of surprising the size of it. Like, I mean, they just raised like, we'll call it $1 billion, and they're already cutting through like 30% of that, and and not to mention like the 555 million worth of shares. Like, I don't know what the share count is going to look like after that, but I don't know. It seems I don't know. Maybe I need to look at it more, but it just seems a little bit unnecessarily dilutive, in my opinion. And for because what are they buying it for? It was for 850 million total, and they're at a revenue rate of 164 million. So it's like, I don't know.
SciTech is?
Yeah, that's ending
okay.
The period ending June 30th. So like, I don't know. It's an interesting play, and honestly, maybe it's for the best with Firefly's launch track record. I don't mean that as a dig, but it's just is what it is. So maybe it's best that they get alternate streams of revenue.
Yeah, I'll take an opposite approach. Yeah, I think I don't know. Like, I wish Firefly well,
Mhm.
you know, and I want everybody to succeed except for Chris Kemp. But no, I'm just kidding. But no, I do want a lot of people in space to succeed because it drives everybody in innovation further, right? And so I think we're all better together and that piece. But I feel like just to construct a piece of criticism, and this is a complete outsider that is not a rocket scientist. I'm a oil engineer who barely passed college. And I had to pay my way and bribe my professors to let me pass. Bad joke. I did not. But it just seems like Firefly is really trying to run a little bit before they can walk. And I think that they honestly need to get comparable to what Astra's problem was. I really think they need to get their alpha or their main rocket really up and running at a decent cadence with a good reliability run rate before they really start to take on other things. I mean, I think about where Rocket Lab came. Rocket Lab, by the time they actually started acquiring the Soleros of the world and the ASIs of the world and all these other great companies that are now part of and have been a legacy now added to Rocket Lab, they had 17 launches under their belt before they SPAC'd, right? And so they got, the $800 million, and then they used that, very sparingly to collect great companies that have huge legacies. But that came from a position of strength, I feel like. It seems like, yes, I know Firefly landed on the moon, but that was with a huge partnership of others. And so I don't know. It just seems like to me at the moment, you're trying to move a little bit faster. And sometimes like I think Sir Peter Beck does this really well. Sometimes you really need to focus and just get something delivered, and then you can move on to the next thing. And I see that a lot as well, just in the real world. Like I feel like, and I have a problem with this as well. I like to expand. I like to look and jump to a bunch of different things, but sometimes I really just need to focus, knock it out. Otherwise, it'll just never get done, or it'll just continue to churn. And so my fear is if they just acquisition this, maybe you'll continue to have those reliability issues, right? And so I don't know. I just think that they need to focus, get their first rocket up and running, and focus on themselves before they really start to acquire and really start to expand.
Yeah, I do kind of worry a little bit about the cash runway getting cut shorter, given they're still trying to fix their first rocket as well as build a medium class rocket. It sounds like a tall order, but hopefully market conditions stay better and more favorable for raising capital if they need to. Astra got caught in that kind of death spiral, so that is pretty much it for our news items for the week. If anyone has any questions they'd like to discuss before we call it a week, now would be a great time. Alan here asking, he's wondering if Rocket Lab is in danger of becoming a meme stock where fundamentals don't matter. Do you guys worry about that at all?
I consider it, yeah. I don't know if I'd say I worry about it, but I definitely worry more about other stocks within this market where it's just becoming, I feel, less and less easy to find adequate valuations. It just kind of seems like everything's just running, and it reminds me kind of what was it, like 2021, where it really didn't matter what you did. You throw some money at a stock, and a week later it's up 30%, and like I said, everyone's a genius. Everyone's taking screenshots, bragging.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, what comes next from here? Like
the screenshot indicator is interesting. Like
yes.
the more screenshots you see, the closer you are to a drop.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Matt? I'm kind of like mixed feelings about it, I guess.
Yeah, I think I could see where people's caution lies, right? And yes, maybe the evaluation is overextended from where it is today, but I think the thing that people need to recognize is you could attribute this name of meme stock to, I think, a lot of different companies. And what I could say is meme stock to me means there's literally no underlying value. right? And to me, that does not encompass what Rocket Lab is. Rocket Lab, I think, if you honestly put your ear to the street, you can see the people that are really benefiting from what is going on, right? You're seeing the European Space Agency, you're now seeing the Japanese exploration, like you're seeing so many different people, industries, defense, all being wrapped up and relying now. Even the United States government, when we saw Governor Youngkin at Launch Complex 3 give a speech, right? Like they're relying upon Rocket Lab to help economies within the United States, right? And it's not the opposite, right? It's not, so it's interesting. I think that while people could say, yes, it's overvalued, and I can see that point, yes, I still think that it's not appropriate to put it in meme stock territory because there is underlying value. And I believe that these contracts are real. And we've actually seen 72, potentially now in the coming weeks, 73 launches. And we will see much more in the coming months. If they hadn't launched a rocket yet, then I could see where it would be a meme stock, right? You have all this potential, you have all this future promise and everything the like, but when it comes to actually testing things, the engine doesn't even start up, that's a meme stock to me. But the fact that you have a company that's actually delivering, I get it. There's overvaluation, but in my opinion, it's not a meme stock.
What I come back to, I guess, is I've seen, there seems to be some institutions buying right now. You're seeing these big buys. So, and even as we saw on CNBC, financial analyst talking about buying, proposing it. Like it's not just retail traders chasing a short squeeze. So, yeah, to me, it's not really a meme. Although we can definitely debate valuation and that kind of thing. I think it's something different. Any other interesting questions?
Wanted to share one thing before we maybe kick it back. So I think this is where so I shared my screen. I think there's there's the Escapade mission that Scotto was kind of talking about on the New Glenn. And so I'll share this particular tab. So some really good photos from Dave Limp, who's the CEO of Blue Origin. So they're integrating the New Glenn right now to get it prepared for this early November launch. And you can just see the size and scale of this. This is a person standing right next to the rocket, and you can see, what is that, 7 engines there. Pretty cool in that respect. These BE3 engines. You get to see the size and scale of this thing on its way. There's some new Shepard stuff, but look at this thing.
Slightly bigger than an Electron.
Yeah, lightly bigger, right? But it's really cool to be able to see. But this is the thing that's going to be sending these 2 beautiful satellites for Berkeley up into space that we'll be hopefully being able to learn a lot about. And so I think it's a new pivotal point for Rocket Lab. It's many pivotal points that we've seen with Rocket Lab, but I think this is going to be great. It's going to give a lot of information. It's a huge testament to a lot of work that's been put in. Unfortunately, it's been delayed by 9-10 months. It was supposed to be the end of last year, and now here we are, and hopefully can see it go forward. And I think it'll put a foundational piece for what's to kind of come, because soon enough we'll be doing something similar for Venus. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I did just want to quickly address one question regarding when the SDA Tranche 3 awards are being announced. And the document says the target date is around October 15th, but we don't know if the government shut down, if there could be major delays. I think that's pretty much it for this week. We've gone for over an hour now. Any final thoughts, you guys, before we wrap this thing up?
No, just looking forward to the next launch.
Thanks for setting up, Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
It's going to be a fun quarter, though. There's going to be launches. Like, it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a lot. I'm really looking forward to the earnings. I guess we'll see. When is it? It's early November. Generally, it's the first or second week of the second month of the quarter. So very curious to see with now Minoric really starting to get to a close. Geos now starting to get to a close. It's going to be interesting to see now that you're integrating those into the business. What is the next step, right? Obviously Neutron, but what does that look like as a whole conglomerate now of businesses, and what does that mean for backlog? What does that mean for future growth? We talked about the Bavarian visit last week with Frank and Sir Peter Beck going to Bavaria. So how does that play into the rest of Europe? So it'll be interesting. As always, these earnings calls are like a college course sometimes about learning about what the business is like, and it's very different, right? It's not as much numbers oriented. The numbers are important, but it shows the purpose of the organization, and that's one of the reasons why I love it the most, is because yes, the numbers matter, and it's what allows you to keep going and provide the company with the fuel that it needs. But at the end of the day, the fuel for the company, which is cash and cash flow, isn't important if there's no purpose behind it. And there's a lot of purpose behind Rocket Lab, and that's why I stand by the company.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Another great Rocket Lab Weekly. We all hope Vince is getting some rest after taking care of the young one. I'm sure I'm going to feel the pain of what that's like in the coming months, and Scott's probably very familiar with it. But,
Oh yeah.
yeah, all the best to Vince. All the best to everyone watching. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.
Thanks all.